Hello, Andy here from the PostHog self-driving team. I'm going to walk through a quick end-to-end example of a scout run. So I'm in the PostHog inbox here, and we have all of our scouts. This is some internal scouts we have. We have one in particular that I'm going to look at here, which is MCP struggles. This is a scout that we can see here. It's emitted 9 signals in the last 3 days. What this scout does is it wakes up every 3 hours, uses our MCP. Randomly kind of picks parts of the MCP to focus on, tries to use the tools, and actually sense checks and finds edge cases and pain points basically, and records memory as it goes and maintains kind of like a long-term memory as from run to run basically. So when I look in here, I can kind of have a look and see what's going on. So if I go into the scout, I can see all of the recent signals here on top and all of the runs down below. So like the most recent run here was like a quiet run. It said no, I don't, nothing to report. But what I'm interested here is the actual signals that it's emitted and looking at the task behind that. So I have an example here that's caught my eye, which is we have a Sparkline query tool. It's saying it returns an empty response for everything here, even though we have loads of logs internally. And what it's saying is, I think it's saying that you were passing this filter group as a list, but actually it's expecting a dictionary. Typical sort of edge cases that get you. So this looks like there might be something here. So this is the actual signal, and it's linked to an inbox report here. But what I'm interested here is actually just digging into like the scout run itself under the hood. So I can open this task run on the bottom right hand side of the finding, and I can hop into the actual task, the scout task itself. So this is the actual scout run in this case, and what you can see here is it's very much just like a normal PostHog code task run, but it's kind of got a little bit of a templated prompt here. It's kind of a little bit dynamic because it says, okay, we're going to use the signals MCP struggle scout today in this run, and then this is like the light harness prompt around it. There's not much, not too much going on there, and then the agent's just going to go get about its work. So what it's going to do is, first the agent is going to read the skill, and based on that decide how to proceed. And all along the way, it's using the PostHog MCP and the various tools that it has. So you can see here, it's the first few iterations. It's just kind of orientating, and what it's doing here actually, like we can just look on the way. It's looking at the project profile to understand like what things are on in this project, what features, what products do they use. And this is like a quick snapshot to understand like what's on in this project of interest. And here we can say, yeah, this is ran a few times before, so it already has a good understanding. And what it's also going to do is, this is where the sort of long-term memory stuff comes in. So it has this scratchpad, and it has like search functions over the scratchpad. So previous runs you can see basically here, all of these key values are encodings of things that the scout has learned over time and across runs, and you can kind of see it's using this sort of key-based taxonomy to scope each memory, and so we can see here it's kind of just looking over. It's searching over the scratchpad for previous runs that might be related to the scout. What we've tasked the scout with doing, and so here we can see kind of its last. So for logs, for instance, for PostHog logs, it needs to understand which services we have hooked up to logs, because that can change. So it's saying here to itself, okay, I haven't actually sense checked like the map of our logs for it's been 8 days, so let's do that again. So what it's going to do now is it's going to actually have a look, okay, a little bit more scratchpad search, a little bit more search, and then it's going to find that we actually have this previous entry that we need to check in on again. And for instance here, it's left a note for itself in future to be like, rewalk this next time, a week from now, or next time the MCP deploys. So it's kind of picked up this memory here, and it's like, oh yeah, I left a note to myself in one of the previous runs. I need to like follow up on this. It's going to follow up, and what it's going to do is, you can see here now, it's kind of moving into, okay, what log tools do we have in the MCP? Let's start using them. PostHog MCP has this info command where you can kind of understand, okay, tell me about the Sparkline query logs tool, and then eventually it's going to start it's going to read all the info on the tools and start trying to use them. So here now it's kind of, okay, we know what we're looking at. Let's try and actually reproduce what this symptom was. And so here it's going to start just actually using the MCP tools. You can hear it's calling the spark lines, it's adding in various parameters. This is now the Scout just using the MCP. And it's going to do this, and it's sort of realized now, it's no longer throwing 500s, it's actually just responding with a empty JSON. And so here it's now going to actually kind of sense check this, because it's going to use different logs tools to understand, this looks to, when the agent sees this, it looks like there's no logs set up for this project, but that's clearly wrong, because it has these other MCP tools where it can sense check this. And so this is the agent actually debugging, the issue here basically. And it eventually confirms, everything is returning this empty JSON. We probably have a problem with this tool. Probably something changed and the tool drifted. This is exactly what happens, kind of as we're building so fast now. Sometimes the code and the MCP tools can get a little bit out of sync. And so here we go. It's kind of found. It's kind of honing in on a finding now, which is that we already actually have an inbox report for this. So similarly, there's the agent can also just look in the inbox for existing reports, and it's found that we do indeed already have a report here. And the report was saying that originally it was a 500 failure, but now it's not. It's a little bit different now. It's like a different symptom. So the Scout here has decided, okay, no, this is worth a new signal to emit basically. And so here the Scout decides to make a fresh signal, and then we can see that actually the end result here is it's going to call this emit signal tool, which is basically just some metadata and the kind of the markdown, the meat of what it's actually emitting here. Is this description tag in here, and this is basically the Scout driven signal that now feeds into the self-driving pipeline basically. And the last step then is the Scout just kind of writes up, okay, here's my findings for I have some memories. It's updating its memories here. It's going to remember for this particular key. It's kind of leaving a note to itself like this particular log sparkline MCP tool we have some issues with from the MCP struggle Scout. So like any other Scout that runs can also see this. So the scratchpad is shared across Scouts, which is kind of useful. But yeah, this is it just kind of maintaining its memory, and then it's going to close out with this, with the actual finding here, which is, I emit a signal. This is what we started with the signal emission, and then the flow will be that from here this signal will go into the pipeline, get added to a report. It'll either get added to an existing report or make a new report, and then that report ends up in your inbox for action. And in this case, the action here, I guess it's probably a mix of this is going to be a PR to fix the MCP tool here, or figure out a bit more what's going on. This one's probably a little bit complex, so it will need a bit of a human to look at. So it's a good example of we found something, but it's not necessarily an obvious fix here, because there might even be some product decisions involved. So yeah, quick walkthrough. That's all. It'd be great if you could try this out and reach out with any feedback. Thank you.